what is the most significant moment that you're predicting for UFC 300? And I'm changing it from most people. I've seen this topic out there. But it was always asked a little bit differently. What was the most significant fight at UFC 300? I'm asking you, what moment are you predicting? You want to know why I'm wording it that way? Because I answered the question to what is the most significant fight. And significance is a very interesting word. At least it is for me. I understand immediate consequence. So do you. Title fight would be a great example. Boom, we've got a consequence that could flip hands. Or close the book. That's now done. Start from scratch, move on with somebody else. But I think that we will get a confirmation to a degree that Oliveira Sakarian is going to be a number one contenders match. One thing that the general public does not know is that Sakarian has already fought Islam. And the reason I'm offering you that is I personally would have strongly bet against the idea that Oliveira could get a rematch with Islam. Only because the lack of competitiveness within that match. But someone somewhere liked that match. Someone somewhere with influence from Jump Street wanted to see that match again. And I don't make believe for you that Oliveira isn't an arguably top contender, particularly with a win here. I just suggest for you that Oliveira doesn't want the match. He said he doesn't want a match. They gave him the match, and he said, I'm not doing the match. Like, I'm not making these things up. Now, that could have passed. That could have changed. Just sharing for you that I don't think it's the easiest story to tell, considering it's already been told. And it didn't work out. I don't know that anything extra needs to be added to that fight. And I don't think if you're thinking of drama or you're thinking of headlines or you're thinking about just pure sheer business, that naming that fight ahead of time, the number one contenders fact, changes anything 1 degree. And I've had people say, yeah, but a lot of times we'll do a number one contenders fight. But that's only for one guy. Just don't take the time to explain that. So Sakarian, is looking for a title shot, get somebody new in there. And that's just where I remind you that he's already had the opportunity. But much like Oliveira, I get where Sakarian would be a number one contender. I fully do understand that, particularly with a win over Oliveira. No pushback, just sharing for you and reminding you that it's already been done. And Islam has never really asked for much. I don't remember a complaint I've ever heard come from Islam, with one exception. What he asked for, and a complaint that he had, is he would like to fight new guys, and he keeps getting asked to fight the same guys. So to make this the number one contenders match with one thing in common, that they've already fought him, those things can be worked through. I'm sharing with you. And I'm sharing it with you because you believe it is the number one contenders match. You don't agree with me. You don't care about the fact that they've already fought. That means nothing. Okay, great. But I still submit that because I think one of the great moments you're going to have is an hour after this fight gets done is Justin Gaethje and Max. And whoever gets the last word has an upper hand. A court of law will give the defendant the last word to give him whatever advantage that is. Justin Gaethje is going to demand that title shot. And Justin Gaethje is meaningfully different in that he hasn't fought Islam. And while that might not matter to the promotion, and while you might think that doesn't matter to you, to get a fight actually done, it greatly matters. If Islam gets called out twice in a night, one by a champion that everybody loves with a higher ranking, or one by two complete studs with lower rankings, lower fan bases, and that Islam is not nearly as interested in, Islam's response to those two call-outs is going to matter. Sure it is. And Islam's response is going to be prompt and immediate. It's going to be prior to the press conference, where then Dana gets asked that question, and Dana's probably going to punt. The more than standard and typical response is to punt, see what happens. of which, if Islam and the person that Islam responds to start building something when the decision actually comes in, do you see how they're very different? Do you see how saying Oliveira versus Sakarian is the number one contenders match? Do you see where that's a problem if Gaethje doesn't follow the script and Gaethje is on an hour later and Gaethje has a higher ranking and a way bigger fan base? Do you see where you could come back having egg on your face? And you know that ahead of time, and you don't want that ahead of time, so you don't make the statement that it's a number one contenders match. I mean, but are you understanding that? So I think one of the great battles going on is that. One of the great battles is how Sakarian is going to navigate and make us all interested in him. The most important thing at any of your jobs, and it's the same in the octagon, it is not that you got the job. That's important. It's not the most. It's not that you showed up on time, had a good attitude, left late, got more done than the other guys. No, those are good things, but it's not the most important. Not doing it well. Not even having your hand raised. The most important thing at your job and in the octagon is to make sure that you have a job to come back to tomorrow. That trumps everything. You do a great job, but it's your last day, right? Or if you do a bad job, but you're going to come in tomorrow and do it again, right? Do you understand the difference? Have I proven my point here? And I think one of the great battles that we're going to have is that. If Oliveira wins, and somebody wants Oliveira. I know who that somebody is, by the way. He's got a backer. But he's not going to help them on the microphone. He's not going to make a case or an argument. Maybe it's enough. But maybe it's not. And then when you insert Max Holloway. And Gaethje versus Max, for me personally, is very interesting. I'll get more into that in the coming week. But Gaethje started as the favorite. Gaethje's still the favorite. When that fight goes off and that first bell starts, Gaethje will be the favorite. The public believes Gaethje's going to win for a variety of reasons. One, because he's awesome. Two, he's the champion. And three, he's bigger. But I have not met a fighter yet that hasn't picked Max. That's a literal statement. I have not spoke to one fighter and asked him about that. And I don't know myself. Like, I haven't been asked this. I don't know. I can see it both ways. These are two killers. I go back and forth. And I can only give praise. Can't quite see where the weakness is and how they're going to get in there. I have not met a fighter yet, literal statement, that hasn't picked Max. They all unanimously say Max. So, if it is Max, right, we've never seen anything better for hype, promotion, and marketing within the sport than parity or newness, right? Never. The entire game here is you get behind a new guy, you rise him up to the top, you get him to the top, and then you work like hell to pull him down. That's 100% what this is. The guy that finally gets his feelings hurt and he's all set. He doesn't realize, nah, man, it was on the way up. They pulled somebody else out to put you in here. Now they pull you out. They put this guy and they're going to hate him just as much as you. It's the way that it goes. But I suggest that for you because Max would be that newness. Max would be that brand new. I had never considered that. I had never thought of it. Max will cut himself a promo. I don't know that he goes after Islam. You got to understand you're dealing with two very different mindsets here. Max and Gaethje couldn't be further apart. I'll give you a great example. Gaethje's in the back. Sakarian, Oliveira fighting, and it's already been stated that's your number one contenders match. That match ends, an interview is done. It gets made clear to the world that winner that just did that interview next will be fighting for the belt. Gaethje's in the back. He hears the whole thing. He throws it out. He doesn't care that it ever happened. It will have nothing to do with him proceeding to try to defend his title and going out and getting the number one contendership himself. Nothing. It will not detour him at all. Max would be in the back. Max is planning to beat Gaethje. He's planning to grab the mic. He's planning to become the number one contender. He hears the winner of Sakarian Oliveira. He hears Joe Rogan. He hears the announcement that they are now the number one contender. Max will now change course. Okay, well, that's done. Let's change course. Let's go get my win. Maybe I defend this. Maybe I go back to 45. Maybe I don't call anybody out and let the UFC know that I do whatever you want. God bless, and out the door you go. Nothing wrong with either. I'm sharing with you there's a difference. So what's going to happen? I also personally think that there's a plan for Bo. I want to know what it is. I think there's a plan for Bo. There's a reason he's on the main card. And God bless them both, by the way. I don't want to sound anything that sounds like I am giving Cody a hard time. I'm not in the least. What I'm sharing. There's been a lot of pushback that Bo's on the main card. There's been no pushback that Cody's on the main card. There's been an explanation as to why Bo was on the main card. There is not an explanation as to why Cody's on the main card. So even if you're in the camp of I understand the sport better and I can think just like the bosses do, okay, fair enough, except you can't. You have no plan and you have no idea and you have no reckoning and no reasoning for why Cody Gumbridge is on the main card and Cody Garbrandt is opening the show. So just stop right there. Because we could all have some real fun. If there is in fact a plan, and if it's what I think it is, that could be one of the most significant moments of the night. So we got a lot to look forward to here. And that's before we get into the fact that Jamal is returning for the title that he never lost. Oh, I love that. That's my phrase. I coined that phrase when Josh Barnett returned to the UFC. That he came back for the title that he never lost. And you want to know who used it? You want to know who took that? You want to know what posters and billboards and t-shirts? You want to know who stole that line from me? Nobody. It never got used. It should get used. It's a great line.